A lot of what I do and have done for my entire professional career is to connect with people who don't often or always have a voice, with communities that may feel that what happens in Washington, D.C. does not impact them. What brings me hope is that throughout my travels and my conversations, people see that every facet of their lives is impacted in some way about what happens here in this town. Air we breathe, the food we eat, the water we drink, and even the medical services that we all need. Even in this space when we're talking about maternal health, and when we talk about maternal mortality, we got to talk about morbidity. And when we talk about maternal, we have to talk about infant. And we talk about the family. And as a father, it brings me hope. And I think it brings the people who didn't think there was a connection, it brings them hope to see that people are concerned and that there is a way to highlight their concerns. And as an engineer, I look at numbers and statistics and what do they mean. But as a storyteller and as someone who hears stories, I see the person behind the numbers. Oftentimes, even though their stories are different, there's some element of that story that is about me or my family or my mother or my wife or my daughter or my son. And so yes, the storytelling is important because it's not just about the data and the statistics. It's about the human spirit, and it's a human life, and it's a family, and it's a mom and a dad and a child that are trying to survive and trying to thrive, and we all should want that. Heading over here today, I had a chance to check in and talk to my mother and my father, and when we talk about the sacrifices that they made to not only give birth to me, but to help me to grow and to connect me with the community and to give me this sense of public service. My father's in the State House, the Honorable William Clyburn Sr. My mother was a city councilwoman, the Honorable Beverly Clyburn. They taught me that the honor wasn't in the title. What I like people in the communities that I talk to know and to feel is empowered. They're not alone. And you think you're the only one with that issue, and then you hear, oh man, you had that challenge too. And there is something cathartic and soothing about that. And so I like those folks that I'm trying to help to know that they actually empower me and inspire me. I mean, I feel energized when I feel the connection. When I tell my daughter the work that I'm doing, and she gets it and she thinks I'm a cool dad because she knows that I'm looking out for her and those women and those young men and those families. What gives me hope is being able to delve into the nuances of this labyrinthine process, this legislative process, and the excitement of being able to bring their stories into this process. Earlier during this legislative session, Healthy Start funding was zero funded. That was proposed to zero funded. And so there was an activation, well, wait a minute, maybe someone doesn't understand what Healthy Start does. And the communities it helps, and the babies and the mothers that it saves, and the families that it connects. There were people who weren't connected who all came together to say, oh, wait a minute, we need to save that. And so we had conversations. It was black, white, Republican, Democrat. And the next thing we know, because the message got out and people understood those stories, the very conversation we were just having, and felt enlightened by those stories, and the people felt empowered by those stories, that funding was put in the budget even more than what they had before. And so there's hope that as people hear the stories, that there will be funding and impactful interactions so that we actually move the needle on minimizing and even eliminating these disparities, because behind the disparities, behind the numbers, are real people. and families. And so that brings me hope that the excitement can get into the mundane and then everybody sees it and moves on it. It's time for new narratives of hope that heal. It's time for us to be seen. It's time for our stories to be heard. Join us. Shine a light on Black birth stories of hope.